Most people with a full acre are still buying groceries every single week, and honestly, that should bother you. Because when a family is spending $1,000 a month on food, sometimes more while standing on a whole acre of land, that is not automatically a soil problem. It is not always a climate problem. Most of the time, it is a layout problem. For a family of 4, it is not unusual to see grocery spending hit around $1,000 a month. That is roughly $12,000 a year walking out of the house. And what makes that sting is knowing a lot of that money is going toward food your land could have been helping with all along. Not every bite right away, not every week perfectly, but a whole lot more than most people are getting from it now. What usually goes wrong is simpler than people want to admit. The garden gets placed wherever there happen to be sun. The chickens get pushed off to one side. Fruit trees get planted wherever they look nice. Compost ends up way out back because that corner was open. And the middle of the property stays in grass, getting mowed over and over, burning time, burning fuel, and giving almost nothing back. So the land is producing something maybe, but it is not feeding the household like a system. And that is the real issue. A 1-acre homestead does not become powerful because you own a bunch of separate things. A garden here, a coop there, a few trees over there, a compost pile you stop visiting by October. What makes it powerful is when everything sits in the right place and starts feeding the next thing. That is what changes the whole property. And once you see it, you cannot really unsee it. The rule underneath all of this is simple enough to remember. Proximity is productivity. If the things you need every day sit close to your path, you use them. You notice them. You harvest them on time. You fix small problems before they become bigger ones. You toss scraps where they belong. You keep the whole cycle moving without it feeling like some extra chore. If those same things live too far away, you start skipping them. Not because you are lazy, because you are human. If your lettuce is 200 feet from the back door and dinner is already underway, there is a good chance you are not walking out there. You are opening the fridge. If your compost pile is far enough away that it feels like a separate trip, kitchen scraps start missing the pile and hitting the trash. If your chickens are nowhere near the fruit trees, then the windfall sits there, rots, draws pests, and never turns into eggs. That is how an acre starts leaking. Not all at once. In little places first. Then one day you realize the land looks busy, but the grocery store is still feeding you. So let me walk you through the acre the way I think it should actually be lived in. Not as a checklist. More like a walk from the back door all the way out to the property line. Right outside the house, within about 30 feet, is where I want the food you reach for constantly. This is the kitchen zone. Greens, herbs, green onions, tomatoes, peppers, radishes, salad crops. The things that show up in real meals, not just the crops that make you feel productive on one big harvest day. And the mistake here is thinking one spring planting is enough. It is not. This bed has to keep moving. A row of lettuce now, another 2 weeks later. Spinach behind something that just finished. Basil, where you can grab it without thinking. Kale, where you will see it often enough to cut it while it is still tender. The whole point is not to get one beautiful burst and call it done. The point is to keep food moving through that space so the bed stays useful across the season. That is how a small area starts feeding like a much bigger one. And winter is where people give up too early. They assume the bed is finished the moment the weather turns cold. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it just needed a little protection. An old window over a simple cold frame can carry spinach, kale, arugula, and other hardy greens much farther into winter than most people expect. That sounds like such a small thing. An old window, a rough wooden box, January greens. But that is exactly the kind of small thing that changes a household. Because it closes a gap. You stop thinking of the garden as a summer event and start thinking of it as part of the kitchen. And a well-run 4x16 bed can give you around 200 pounds of food over a season. One bed on 1 acre. So the issue was never just lack of space, it was whether that space was arranged to keep producing. Now take a few steps farther out. This is where I like the perennial layer to begin because this is the part of the acre that keeps paying you back without needing to be rebuilt every season. Fruit trees up high, smaller fruiting trees where they fit. Berry bushes underneath, ground covers filling in the soil instead of leaving it bare and wasted. What makes this area so valuable is that once it matures, it starts doing the quiet kind of work people underestimate. A mature apple tree can give you 200 to 400 pounds of fruit in a year. A pear tree can give you 150 to 300. Blackberries can produce 10 to 20 pounds per plant in a season. Those numbers matter because they bring the whole thing back to reality, not fantasy, not vibes, actual weight, actual baskets, actual jars, actual freezer bags, actual food in your hands. And the smartest part is not just the fruit you bring inside, it is the fruit you do not. The bruised fruit, the split fruit, the windfall, the stuff you are not going to set on the kitchen table. If this zone sits next to the right animals, that is not waste anymore. That is feed. And that brings us naturally to chickens, because chickens belong near abundance, not shoved off into some random corner where they turn into one more disconnected chore. I learned that the hard way. There was a stretch where I let mine roam too freely because it sounded like the more natural way to do things. Less structure, less fencing, more charming. That idea lasted right up until they tore into the garden and flattened weeks of progress faster than I thought possible. So now I think about chickens as workers with boundaries. 6 hens is a strong number on 1 acre, enough to keep a household in eggs without turning feed into its own expensive problem. A setup like that will generally give you around 1,500 eggs a year. That is not some cute extra. That is a real grocery cost disappearing from the store. And the value stacks up from there. They clean up fallen fruit, they scratch through material that is already heading toward compost. Their bedding turns into fertility. Their manure feeds the next round of growing once it has moved through the system the way it should. When the coop and run sit in the right place, you stop dragging usefulness across the property in a wheelbarrow. That is what good layout feels like. Less hauling, more cycling. The acre gets easier to run, not harder. Then there is the part that surprises people, and honestly it should. Rabbits. Not because they are trendy, not because they look tidy in a plan, because on a small piece of land, they can be one of the smartest protein engines you have. Rabbits are incredibly efficient. Roughly 4 pounds of feed can turn into 1 pound of meat. That is a serious return from a very small footprint. A breeding trio can produce a surprising amount of meat in a space smaller than most people expect, and they do it quietly. But the bigger advantage is not just the meat, it is the way rabbits plug into the rest of the acre. Run worm bins under the hutches. Let the manure drop straight down. Let the worms turn that into castings. Put those castings back into the beds. Feed surplus worms to the chickens. Cycle garden trimmings where they stay useful. Now, you are not looking at rabbits as some isolated side project. You're looking at a fertility engine. And because rabbit manure is gentle compared to a lot of other manures, it gives you one of those small homestead advantages that really matters over time. Less waste, less delay, more direct usefulness. By this point, the acre is already starting to behave like a machine. Then the bees come in, and the whole machine gets sharper. A lot of people hear bees and think honey first. Honey matters. Of course it does. But the bigger story is yield. If 2 hives sit where they naturally work, both the garden and the perennial zone, they can lift fruit set and yields by something like 30 to 50% on a lot of crops. Apples, berries, squash, tomatoes, all of it starts responding when pollination gets stronger. So the bees are not only giving you honey, they are making the whole acre perform better. That is invisible yield. An invisible yield is one of the smartest things you can build into a small property, because it increases output without asking for the kind of ground space your crops need. Now here's the part people delay too long, and it costs them every winter. Storage, preservation, some kind of system that carries summer through to February. Because there is no point growing a beautiful wave of food if it all peaks at once, and then disappears just as fast. That is how people end up drowning in tomatoes in August and buying canned goods in January. The preservation zone does not need to be fancy. It can be a corner of the garage, shelves in a cool room, a pressure canner, a dehydrator, crates for onions, squash, potatoes, and beets, enough freezer space to hold what deserves freezing, enough discipline to put the surplus away while it is coming in, not after it starts slipping past its best. This is the bridge between harvest and sovereignty. Without it, summer abundance is exciting but shallow. With it, the acre starts feeding winter too, and that is when the whole idea becomes believable. Not when everything is overflowing in July. In January, when the shelves still hold, when the jars are still lined up, when the onions are still good, when the squash is still sound, when the dried herbs still smell like something real. That is the moment the system starts to feel solid. And once preservation is working the way it should, winter grocery costs can drop hard. In some setups, a family of 4 can push that number down under $40 a month through the cold season. That is not just a nice savings. That is a completely different relationship with winter. Now keep walking, all the way out to the edges. Most people treat the perimeter like leftover space. Fence line, buffer. Maybe something to think about later. I think that is a mistake. The edge of the acre should be doing real work. Comfrey is a perfect example because it produces biomass so aggressively that it can replace a lot of store-bought mulch over time. Cut it several times a year, drop it around the beds, and suddenly that outer ring is feeding moisture retention and soil life farther inside. Mulberry can feed both people and animals. Other support plants can give you wind buffering, privacy, biomass, and a steady stream of material the rest of the system can use. The point is not to stuff the perimeter with random plants. The point is to make the outside edge support everything inside it. So now even the fence line is earning its keep. Feed, mulch, protection, biomass, shade management. Less money leaving your pocket for things the land could have been growing for you, and once every part of the acre starts pulling in the same direction, something changes in your head. You stop thinking in categories. Garden, chickens, compost, trees, rabbits, bees, and you start thinking in loops. What feeds what? What sits near what? What becomes useful faster because you moved it 20 feet closer to the path you already walk every day? That part changed everything for me, and I say that as somebody who did not start with some beautiful, elegant master plan. A few years ago, my place was a mess. Not a romantic mess, not the kind people show off and call rustic, a frustrating mess. The garden was on one side, chickens somewhere else. Fruit trees scattered around mostly because I like the idea of them. Compost too far from the kitchen to stay part of daily life once the season got busy. Rabbits tucked behind the garage where they were easy to forget. And even with all that so-called homestead activity going on, I was still spending over $700 a month on groceries. That is the part more people need to say out loud. You can be growing food and still bleeding money because the setup is fighting you. I was hauling manure instead of cycling it, losing fruit instead of feeding it, buying mulch because nothing on the perimeter was producing biomass for me, walking farther than I needed to for jobs that should have taken seconds. It wore me down. So one winter, I changed the layout. Not in one giant dramatic push, just deliberately, closer, tighter, smarter. And by the next full year, the difference was obvious. The compost pile finally got fed because it lived where scraps already moved. Chickens started cleaning up what used to be waste. Rabbit manure stopped sitting there doing nothing and started feeding worms. The perimeter began producing enough mulch that I was no longer paying to bring in what the land could have been growing. And the grocery bill dropped to under $150 a month. That did not happen because I suddenly became some genius gardener overnight. It happened because the acre finally started acting like a system. That is why I keep coming back to layout. Layout is not the decorative part. It is not the finishing touch. It is the difference between a homestead that drains your wallet and one that feeds you more and more every year. Now, before anybody runs outside and tries to build all of this in one season, a few things are worth saying. Do not put your kitchen crops too far from the door and then assume discipline will save the system. Most of the time, it will not. Close things get tended. Distant things get postponed. Do not wait until the harvest is already overwhelming you before you think about storage. That is backward. The shelves, the jars, the canner, the drying space, the freezer plan, all of that needs to be ready before the flood starts. And do not try to install every zone at once. That is how people burn out. Start with the path that changes daily life the fastest. Food near the house. A compost rhythm that actually fits the way you move. Chickens placed where they reduce waste instead of creating more of it. Then build outward as the system proves itself. You do not need one heroic season. You need a property that becomes more functional every year, because that is the real promise here. Not perfection, not fantasy, not some performance of self-sufficiency for the internet, something better than that. Control. A little more food security this year than last year. A little less exposure to prices you cannot control. A little less dependence on stores for things your land can produce. And after a while, the acre stops feeling small. You step out the back door, and food is right there. Not somewhere across the property. Not waiting for a perfect weekend. Right there. The hens are turning scraps into eggs. The soil is being fed by animals that are feeding the next crop. The bees are working while you are doing something else. The edges are growing mulch, feed, and protection the whole system can lean on. And that is when something changes. The land starts to hold. It starts to steady the household. It takes some of the pressure out of winter. It takes some of the fear out of prices. It gives you a little more control than you had before. Not fantasy, not perfection. Real control. Real food. Real continuity. 1 acre, laid out with intention, can do that. It can feed more of your life than most people ever let it. Your acre is enough. It probably was all along. It just needed a layout that could finally make it hold.